let's get some people in this thing. If I can remember how to do it. Man.
You mean you getting old as me? Is that what you're trying to say?
So you live right now?
I'm live right now. We live and direct, baby.
Look at all of those people.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
Invite them and let them tap in so they can get these gems you finna give them today.
Okay, now I'm finna go live too.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me know when.
And then I'll let you know when we starting the
Okay.
podcast. I'm just going down and inviting folks. Tell them to tap
That's
in.
amazing.
It's a tedious process, but
And I don't know none of those folks.
you know him. You just might not know about his name. But you know, see, we just passed my mama.
Well, see, a lot of my folks are gone. Y'all have to remember that.
Right.
I'm 80 years old.
Wow.
I ain't know that.
Yeah.
That's a blessing, though.
Yeah, it is. God is good.
Yeah, I might need
All the time.
a little bit.
God is good.
Now, I might know some of their grandmothers.
You live, Booty?
Yeah, I'm live.
I'm just inviting a couple of folks, man. And please share this live. Invite your people. Let me know when you're ready, Booty.
Said live because they know jive. Said live because they know jive.
Man, you know where I messed up at?
What you?
I did not put my... We back. Cause this phone rings all day.
Isn't that interesting? Look at that.
Talking about the
Got
people.
quite a following.
Oh, yeah, it's probably over 4,000-5,000 people. I ain't gonna be able to invite all of them. I'm just doing a little bit.
That's amazing.
Already started.
All right.
Okay,
Let's see.
here we go.
All right, Booty, you ready?
Ready, Freddy. Ready, Teddy. Ready, Betty.
Sell
And
out
ready,
to go buy Betty.
Betty. Unbetty.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, afternoon, morning, whatever, however you want to do it, y'all. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Don't Say Nothing Stupid Podcast. That's DSNS. It's a positive pipeline podcast. And today, on this show, we have in the building Dr. Lucenia Dunn. Y'all give her a big warm welcome. I'm your host today. I am your host today, DJ Budaresh, and we have my co-host with me.
Come with yourself straight.
Head nod.
Hit that.
Okay.
I forgot.
Let's do it one more time. Let's do it again. Y'all ready?
I'm ready.
Ready, say go. Head nod. All right. All right. We're going to have some fun with this one today. This is our positive pipeline podcast that we go into the community and we get individuals that have done a whole lot in our community. And what we do is bring them on our show and get a chance to talk to them and just hear a lot about things that you just did not know about. You know what I mean? And today, Dr. Dunn is in the building, man, and we're going to have some fun here on today. Okay? So, let's go ahead and get this thing started because guess what? We got a lot to talk about. But before I do that, I want to emphasize on the Women History Month. This is the Women History Month, and that's what we're going to be doing all month long right here on Don't Say Nothing Stupid Podcast. So all we're going to have nothing but women all month long in the month of March, okay? So I do want to put that out there before we... So
Yeah.
So when you come in next week, going to be another woman, female, another female, another female. So that's how it's going to be, okay? But let's go ahead and kick this thing off. Dr. Dunn.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We want to go all the way back. Let's go back a little bit. And let's go back to where you from and where you grew up at, and tell us a little bit of something about yourself that we don't know about too as well.
Well, I was born on my grandmother and grandfather's farm in Georgia.
Okay.
And I was, my great aunt was the midwife, and she was the midwife for the whole county.
Wow.
My grandfather had about 1,000 acres of land, and he had people working on there, but he always paid a little bit more than the white people.
Wow.
Sorry to say that like that, but
Yeah.
that's true.
That's true.
When I was 4 years old, my father and mother moved to Tuskegee because my dad began work at the VA hospital.
Okay.
Now, y'all know the VA hospital started in 1923.
Right.
Right?
That's
So it's a
right.
little over 100 years old now.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And Dad stayed out there for 40 years, and my mother was a teacher for 40 years first at Chambliss Children's House,
Okay.
and then she spent most of her time at Lewis Adams in the 3rd grade.
Okay.
And so I had a brother and I had a sister. Both of them are not with me anymore. But we grew up on Washington Avenue. Well, we started out on Scott Street and then Washington Avenue, and my parents eventually moved to South Main Street. And that's where I spent, a lot of my time. So I am a Greenwood kid.
Okay.
And let me tell you, that was probably the most wonderful childhood anybody could ever
Wow.
have. It was safe, and I always tell this story.
Okay.
I'm 5 years old.
Okay.
Had a little red
Just
wagon.
a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
so we can get it in.
Oh, okay.
little bit, yeah.
Okay. So I need to do it like
There
that.
you go.
yeah,
There
okay.
you go.
There you go.
Now we got action.
Yes.
Well, see, they are professionals, y'all.
No.
But I had a little red wagon,
Okay.
and I lived on Scott Street. And at Tuskegee Institute, they used to have a children's library.
Okay.
Right? That's where you could go and get your books. They had a little library card and everything. And I was a prolific reader because I started reading when I was about 4 years old.
Wow.
With my mom being a teacher, that made sense, right?
Right. Absolutely.
So, and plus, I told my mother I didn't want her to read the funny paper to me no more.
Right. The funny people.
Yeah, because
anybody know anything about the funny people?
I can remember when I learned the word "thee." You know what I mean? That was the first word that I learned. "Thee." I was like,
Thee.
yes,
Okay.
I know "thee." And so anyway, I would load up my little red wagon with my books.
Okay.
Go to the library. Now I walked by myself at the age of 5.
Wow.
Going to the library at Tuskegee Institute. It's the same library that's there now.
Right. Okay.
Right?
At the age of 5?
At the age of 5, by myself. Now
Wow.
that's very important to
Right.
note because you can't even let your old children
That's
go
right.
anywhere by themselves
Teenagers,
now.
that's right.
And so my mother never worried about where I was or if anybody was going to get me or,
Right.
my father didn't either. And my mother was primarily in charge at that point in time anyway.
Okay.
And I would go up and get my little books
Mm-hmm.
and set my goal. I'm going to read these X number of books before my 2 weeks was up.
Wow.
And then I'd go back. And they had a big rug on the floor and you could read, laying on the floor and all that stuff. And it was, it was really cool. And then later on, well, I started at Chambliss Children's House in the 1st grade. And, I have to say this because I want to dispel this rumor.
Yeah. Let's
You
do
know what
it.
I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I ain't gonna say nothing stupid. But let me tell you about some stupid stuff that's going on.
Okay.
Right?
Oh, man. Lord have mercy.
Chambliss Children's House did not have all light-skinned children going to it.
That's the
Okay?
rumor. That's the rumor.
That's the rumor.
That's the rumor.
That's the rumor. And let me tell you, out of 43 children in the 1st grade, there were only 3 children that were light-skinned.
Wow.
And some of them wasn't even close to being light-skinned, right?
My color.
I didn't want to say that.
Yeah.
Much. I didn't
My
want to
color.
say that.
So where did the rumor start?
And it started before some of the politicians used that as a way of trying to divide the community,
Gotcha.
right?
Okay.
So that was a rumor a long time ago.
Right.
Now it may have been like that.
Okay.
Back in Booker T. Washington State, I don't know. I wasn't there.
Right.
But if you look at the pictures back in the day, you didn't have a whole lot of light-skinned people, right? George Washington Carver was definitely not light.
My color.
Right?
My
That's
color.
right. So I want to dispel that whole
glad you
thing
did.
about
Clear
that
that up.
because You know, that's a way to divide people
Right.
and all of that stuff. And we black people ain't got time.
That's right.
See, now let's go back to how come that all happened in the first place.
Okay.
See, during slavery, they had to figure out how to keep the black folks from really coalescing and doing things together, right? So if you keep the whole group, the community divided, right, you can control.
That's right.
So when the master, and nobody want to talk about this either, so I'm getting ready to say something stupid. When they impregnated the slave women, they had what? Mulatto children.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
There were some who were kind and they provided for their children because they acknowledged that they had children.
Right.
My great-great-grandfather was one of those children. He and his brother.
Great.
And the slave owner gave my great-great-grandfather and his brother to his daughter for a wedding present.
Wow. Wow.
And she was very liberal. And they did everything and wanted, I mean, the people who were like the beginnings of the police department, right?
Okay.
The paddy wagon.
Right, paddy wagon, right.
And so they would come to her and say, listen, you better do something with them boys because they just messing up everybody. Because you see, the other slaves are like looking like, oh man, they got so much freedom. We ain't got that freedom, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, you know, now they were light-skinned because their father was light-skinned.
Right.
And I don't know what their mother looked like because we don't have any record of her except her name.
Absolutely.
Right.
Okay.
But the point I'm making is that divide. Now, y'all heard about the Willie Lynch speech, right?
Yes.
The Willie Lynch speech was a guy, Lynch, down in Barbados. Okay. And he was the one who did that way of controlling the slaves.
Right.
The old against the young. The light skin against the dark skin. The house pardon the expression, the house niggas versus the field niggas.
Right.
I mean, he had it laid out and he did it in a way that caused that friction that we are still experiencing in our community right now.
That's right.
And in most cases, we don't even know why it was like that.
Right.
You know, where did this originate from?
Right.
Well, when they all came from Africa, they were all what color?
Black.
They were all black. All the skin was black.
Right.
So something had to happen.
Something had to happen.
You know, so they did some raping on the thing, and they gave birth to. I mean, it's all kinds. But see, what I always tell black people is this: we are so strong.
Right.
We have been so through so much abuse and all that. We all ought to be crazy. But guess what? We're not. We're still strong. Look. We are at Vibes right now, folks. I ain't doing no commercial, but I just want to say this. We're at Vibes right now.
Vibing.
Now, what they call you? Or do I give you my nickname?
Go ahead.
Cool. What she said? Cool Street.
Cool Man Street. Cool Man Streeter had basically a club, and he changed it to a first-class restaurant.
That's right.
We needed to have a first-class restaurant in Tuskegee. We have too many people coming in and out of this place, visitors, etc. And we want to have a place where we can take our visitors.
Right.
I eat here all the time. They even know my name. The people that work here are first class. They're polite. They're friendly. They're supportive. They answer your questions. But let me tell y'all, people, y'all better come on down here before I eat up all the food. Let me tell you, this food is absolutely off the chain. I have never had anything bad in this restaurant.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
From fried to broiled to broiled to all of that. Right?
Well,
And they are very creative about it too. I
So
mean,
with it being Women's History Month, I would love to take all the credit, but I got to give it to my wife.
no, I'm
This
gonna
was-
get to that, honey. Don't think I'm gonna leave out wife.
Yeah,
Your
let
mother
people
and your mother.
Can't forget my mom,
Right.
but I just got to let people know that
Yeah.
it was her idea. She's the reason
Okay.
Vibes is in Tuskegee.
Well, you see, I want to thank her because there's always a good woman behind a good man, right? And that's what she's done. And I want to thank her right now for doing that and standing by your man and making sure that he did the right thing. And guess what? It doesn't mean that you stand by your man and become weak. It means that you stand by your man and be strong, because that's exactly what your man needs.
Right.
And I want to thank you again for bringing this first-class restaurant to Tuskegee, because that's what it's all about.
That's right.
It falls in line with the history of this community for innovation, creativity, and business. We were the first Black Wall Street.
That's right.
Not Oklahoma. We were the first Black Street. So anyway, I'm getting off all of that stuff. I'll get back to that later.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, Tuskegee was the safest place to grow up.
Right.
When we got old enough to ride bicycles. Now let me tell you something. Do you know that property right before you get to what I call Tuskegee Institute High School, because that's what it was when I grew up.
Right there where the Boy Scout had their little thing.
Yeah. The Boy Scout
hut right there. Yeah.
The Boy Scout hut has been there forever. Can I say some bad words on this thing?
Wait a minute.
Because this is important.
Right.
Let me tell you, I didn't know how to cuss.
Right.
Oh, my God.
Right at the Boy Scout hut, Jackie Jackson, Elaine Jackson's brother, said, Lou, I bet you can't say it real fast.
Right.
I don't need to say anything else.
That's right. We know where you're going with that one.
And you know what? I was so proud. But we played hide and go seek all in there and all that. But every weekend on Saturday, because you had to have a chore.
Right.
And the whole deal was, you could not go out to play until you finished your chores.
Right.
Well, I've always been late, right?
Right.
So that's because I was reading.
Okay.
And I would read, when everybody's going to sleep, I was reading with the flashlight up underneath the cover, because I didn't want my mama to know I was doing that.
Right.
So then my mother was like, okay, that's fine. All those children waiting out in the yard with their bicycles. You ain't going nowhere until you finish doing X, Y, Z. Right. So
gotcha.
We would ride our bicycles all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, all down Franklin Road and going and picking berries.
Oh,
and,
yes.
And plums and all that. And you know what the miracle was? None of us ever got bitten by a snake.
Right.
That was the miracle.
Yep, that's right.
That was absolutely the miracle. And so we explored. I remember down on Clark Street, there used to be a guy that had his house, his backyard was fenced in.
Okay.
And he grew Japanese plums.
Oh, yeah.
Those big old plums.
Big ones.
You know what we did, right? Right? You know what we did.
Hit him up.
We jumped over the fence, got his plums, jumped back over the fence. But nobody bothered us. Nobody, that we had tennis lessons, we had swimming lessons, we had dance lessons. I was tap dancing when I was in the second grade.
Wow.
Right? Wow. So, we had Carter's grocery store. Excuse me, y'all.
Okay.
Carter's grocery store, right up there where we all know it as the place where Lionel Richie has bought that place up there, right there, on at the light.
Oh yeah, right there was
what we used to call next to his grandmother's.
By Felder's.
Yeah.
And all that. Okay.
Well, see, it wasn't Felder's at that time. It was Holland's store.
Holland's, that's right.
Holland's had all of the records, the refrigerators, the stoves, all of that stuff. They had everything. It was like a hardware store.
Wow.
There. Then you had Mr. Wiley's restaurant, and you had Carter's grocery store. Now, you could call up Mr. Carter and say, Mr. Carter, I need a dozen eggs, a gallon of milk, and you go down your list.
Right.
And he said, all right, Miss Williams, we'll have it down there to you. And he had a person that would deliver the groceries.
Wow.
So it wasn't no big deal in Tuskegee. That's what we did.
Right.
And it didn't mean, I don't know nobody that was rich in Tuskegee.
Wow.
Nobody was rich. But what we were rich in was relationships and safety and support.
Wow.
I never saw a white person in our community unless I went up on the campus.
Wow.
And if the one went in the community, hey, there's a white person coming down the street. I'm exaggerating a bit, but that's basically what we did. So we had a great childhood. We could go and swim in the ponds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there used to be a pond right there when you go down Franklin Road. You know where the Carver Research
right.
building is right there? Well, diagonally across the street from that used to be a pond.
That's right.
And I remember we jumped in that pond one day. The last time we swam in that pond, as a matter of fact. And it was Sammy Young, Boogie Sharp, Wendell Paris, Barbara Haith, Kay Haith, her sister, me, and somebody else. I can't remember now. It was a bunch of us, and we all were in Boogie Sharp's car.
Okay.
Now Boogie Sharp didn't have no license either, but his daddy had given him a car.
Right.
So we all jumped in that pool, and we were just Gerald Ford. I don't know if you all remember Gerald Ford.
Okay.
And so we were just swimming and having a good time, taking the water and doing it on each other and all that.
Right.
This man came in and said, "Yo, children, get out of there, get out of there, get out of there." So we jumped out of there, and he said, he went down there and he reached in the pond and he pulled out 2 broken bottles.
Wow.
Why we did not get cut or maimed or whatever, God was just with us, crazy children. So we did that. And then when I got when I graduated from Tamla's Children's House, we made a pact because we saw something that we didn't like, and that was, it was not, let me see, how do I say this? We were going to be friends with everybody, no matter what school, elementary school they came from.
Gotcha.
Now, I want to segue into this for a minute.
Okay.
Nobody got a bad education when we were growing up.
Okay.
Every teacher almost had a master's degree.
Okay, great.
All of our teachers, no matter what elementary school you went to, had a real interest in us, saw the potential, and worked with us, no matter what your parents did or did not do.
Right.
Now, that's another one of those things I want to dispel. Now, it was not perfect. I ain't trying to make this a panacea because it was not.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that if a teacher saw a girl or a boy that had the kind of potential they felt and that person would go someplace and do some things, they then took an interest in that kid and worked with that kid, and including buying clothes for them, making sure they ate, so forth and so on. So it was that kind of environment when we grew up, right? So when we got to Tuskegee Institute High School, right? Well, then we looked over there and saw Tuskegee Institute. We were like, "Oh, okay, we can beat Tuskegee Institute." So I was a majorette.
Okay.
From the 9th grade through the 12th grade.
Okay.
Alice Coachman Davis, who was the first woman to get a gold medal in the Olympics, was my physical education teacher.
Wow.
Right? And we had George Whitehead, that was the band leader.
Okay.
Now, George Whitehead was something else. Let me tell you, that man, he was funny, but he did not play.
Right.
But he made sure that every child had an instrument to learn to play.
Okay.
If they wanted to learn how to play, that he made sure that they did.
Right.
Roy W. Stone was our principal.
Okay.
And as a result of that, we, as the majorette group, and Clintonia Robinson, who is Diane Robinson's sister.
Okay.
And I'm saying that so I'm trying to make some connections for people who know people and all of that.
Yeah, right.
And she was the head majorette. Now that girl could dance. You hear me?
Right.
That she was tall. She was really very ballet kind of. She
flexible.
was very She was awesome.
Okay.
And so I was too short to do it. I was on the front row.
Yeah.
All I think I had was big legs. Right?
Okay.
So we would make up dance steps. Okay. Now, it wasn't all of the gyrations that you all see the girls doing on the football field now. They did not allow that.
They didn't?
Okay. No, we had the little short skirts.
Right.
We had the boots. But you just, the whole thing was to step high and twirl. I knew how to twirl the baton. And we would try to outpace the Tuskegee University majorettes. And we did that with the band, and we did that really well. I mean, our band was first class.
Wow.
They were really playing adult. Now, I'm going to talk about music. Mrs. Nicholson was our music teacher. Now, Mrs. Nicholson's has a lot of grandchildren and great-grandchildren that still live in Tuskegee. Okay. And I don't know all of them, but Joshua, what's Joshua's last name? He is a minister here, and he is one of her great-grandchildren. I just named Joshua. Okay. And Joshua, forgive me because I can't remember the whole thing right now.
What about Douglas Nicholson?
That's his grandmother.
Oh,
there you
big
go.
Big shouts out to the Slim Preacher, we call him.
Yeah,
we call him Slim Preacher.
That's him.
So is it Joshua that was just running for?
No, not Joshua Lewis.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I cannot remember his name right now. And he's going to beat me up. So don't beat me up. I'm old, okay? But Douglas Nicholson is his Mrs. Nicholson was Douglas Nicholson's grandmother.
Gotcha.
Right?
Gotcha.
And she played piano at, can I take these out?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
She played at Mount Olive Baptist Church. She was the pianist at Mount Olive Baptist Church. Okay. This thing is messing with my ears.
Yeah, okay.
And since y'all don't care.
You good.
We good.
We good.
Okay. Okay, this is so much better.
Okay.
So she encouraged everybody that wanted to play.
Okay.
Bobby Owens, Paul Carney, and Howard Nicholson. Those three boys were so gifted that they started playing with the adult bands when they were in the 4th and 5th grade.
Wow. 4th and 5th grade.
That's right.
Wow.
Horace Carney, which is Paul's oldest brother. And we had all kinds of little groups. I mean, you know, my group, we had about 900 girls in our group. And we had them where, you know, some of them could sing, some of them couldn't sing.
Right.
But we made the ones that couldn't sing just a mouth. Don't sing. Don't sing. And Kay Waddell and Patty Walker, Betty Ann Sharp. I'm trying to think of all of the Dolores Stone. I'm trying to remember all the girls that were in there. Gwen Jackson.
Okay.
And y'all don't know none of these people, but I'm just putting their names out because some of them are no longer with us.
Right, gotcha.
And so I want them to be remembered.
Right.
Because they contributed so much to this community just by being a kid and growing up here and their parents and all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. And they were my classmates.
Great.
But those guys played. Now, my dad had a band. My dad had a jazz band.
Okay.
It was, in fact, his band played at my debutante's ball. Now, we did have a debutante's ball in Tuskegee, right? And that was in high school. Okay. But there it was, all of that mixed with having debates. Marshall Cabanis, who was the great-grandson of Booker T. Washington, mm-hmm. and we always had this debate about Du Bois and Booker T. Now, if we'd had any sense, we would have really been listening to Booker T.
Right.
Because see, Booker T had the map. He created the map for the successful development of black communities.
Wow.
And those communities that followed his pattern were successful.
Right.
Now, racism is not dead. Listen, young people, stop being in the bubble. The bubble is not for us. Understand this. Racism is not dead. What has happened is that we have been able to do more things, like go and buy a house where you want to buy it and have a job and so forth and so on. But that was a temporary thing. If you study your history, during the Reconstruction period, we had a lot of mayors. We had people going to the Senate, the House of Representatives, House of Representatives. Mm-hmm. We had high sheriffs. See, and they changed that thing from a high sheriff to the sheriff didn't have a high anymore because the high sheriff was in charge of everybody. Right. Yeah. You see? So they changed that because they didn't want no Negroes over all of everybody. Right.
Gotcha.
So we had how many towns? Oh my God, almost 200 towns during Reconstruction because they were going on Booker T. Washington's map for how to get it done.
Right.
How many do we have left? How many black towns do we have left?
Don't know.
That's right.
Don't know.
But I can tell you Tuskegee is one of the few left. Miss Hobson up in northern Alabama, I'm going to be on a panel with her in April.
Okay.
She saved her black town.
Wow.
She saved her black town. Wow. I wish y'all could have her on and that she could come and be a part of this because I'd like for her to tell her story about how she managed to take that town and make it into what it started out to be.
Wow.
Right? Now, I want to say this too, and I know I'm going to get in trouble, but I don't care. That's the same thing that's trying to be done for Tuskegee, right? Mm-hmm. We got to save our town, folks. We got to stop the crap that we are involved in, and we got to look at the people who are leading us. Where are they trying to take us? Is it for their reasons or is it for our reason? Right? You got to do the evaluation. You got to talk to us old people because let me tell you, we know the deal. We know who shot John.
Who shot JR back in the day.
Yeah, but it's like what Clay, when George Clay was on, he said he feel it. He's been there before. So you're right. Y'all got a sense of feeling. You can see the writing on the wall pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing this. Listen, the playbook has not changed since 1619 when they brought the first slaves, official slaves, to the United States. Now, black people have been coming to the continent for a long time, and I don't know how long because it was like millions and millions of years, and I don't know what that means either. But y'all can look it up.
Right.
So when the Europeans came, and they brought the first slaves to start this process that we now know as the United States of America slave thing. Mm-hmm. Now, they were going down to South America, Brazil, and we have to understand this because our bloodlines are so messed up.
Right.
Look, we just need to understand that really clearly. Mm-hmm. They would drop the mother off in Jamaica, the brother off in Barbados. They would drop the sister off in South Carolina and the mother off in Virginia.
Wow.
Okay?
Right.
So we don't know a lot about how we're connected.
Right.
But we should never, ever let that get us down.
Right.
Ever. Because I will say it again, and I'm going to say it as long as I need to on this call. We are strong. Now, I got to ask you guys something. What's the difference between steel and iron?
Steel and iron. Mm-hmm. I think steel is harder than iron.
That's true. But what is steel made out of?
That's a good question. That's a chemistry question right there.
No, it's not a chemistry question. But it's made out of a lot of pieces coming together. A lot of alloys coming together. Mm-hmm. So that's what makes it so strong.
Okay.
Right? What happens when you put something with iron and build something with iron and build something with steel? What's the difference?
Well, iron would be in. Steel won't.
Not quite.
Not quite.
Think about it.
I have no idea.
I don't know. I've been saying so stupid.
I know. That's why I'm just going to be quiet.
I want to know. I want to know now. I've been saying so really crazy.
Well, iron rusts.
It does. That's
right? Mm-hmm. And it deteriorates, doesn't it?
That's right.
Steel does not.
That's right.
Who are we?
Steel.
All right now.
That's
See,
right.
That wasn't stupid, was it? We are steel. That's right. Because see, first place, we're made up of a lot of different people, right? And folks like to go run around and say, well, you know, I got a lot of Indian blood.
Oh, yeah, that's a number.
Oh, God.
They always say that.
Buddha was just talking about that. We was just talking about
Just
that.
talking about
People
that.
that got the waves, I got more Indian.
I got the Indian in my blood. We always say that. When the waves hit.
When the water,
Yeah.
when the water doesn't creep up,
Yeah.
roll up and knock your brains out, right? It just stays straight. But that's kind of a myth, too.
Right.
Even though we do have many of our families that have Native American blood, but the majority of us do not.
Right.
Because they kept us away.
Right.
They kept us apart.
Separated.
Now, the Porch Creek Indians, and I'm going to talk about them hot second, because they have a history that is very similar to ours.
Okay.
Right? Now, they were put on a reservation. Mm-hmm. The reservation gave them certain legal abilities that we as a community do not have. Right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a black man who saved them. When the white folks were going along just wiping out Indians left and right, this black man saved them.
Wow.
Right? He was a free black man, and he saved that group. So, you know, I think that somehow we need to form relationships, not for the money, because let me tell you, they have made a lot of money, mm-hmm. but they're also being very judicious about how they spend their money.
Right.
What are they doing with their money? You know, and one of my favorite stories about them is when they said to the state of Alabama, "We'll pay off all your debt."
Okay.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Pay off all the debt. That's right. But of course, they did not want them to do that.
Right.
But what I'm saying is they have a history that is similar to ours, and we need to have a relationship with them, so that we can learn about them and they can learn about us. Right. Now, the East Indians, and I say that with quotation marks around it because they're from India.
Okay.
Right. Now, there's been some controversy about them. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I had some I did some conversations with them, some of their leaders and stuff, and I said to them, "You need to get to know us, and we need to get to know you."
That's right, absolutely.
You know, and all of this division is not going to get anyone anyplace. That's because right. Some folks are very rude to our people, and some of our people are not very kind
That's
either.
Right, absolutely.
So we got to take responsibility for our behavior as well. Absolutely. You don't go into a place and steal something.
Right.
You know, you don't have to.
That's right.
We have ways of helping you get a piece of chicken. Ain't that right?
That's right.
Ain't that right? They come to Vibes, you give a piece of chicken.
Yeah, chicken wing.
Yeah, chicken wing.
Yeah.
So that I keep weaving a whole lot of stuff in here as it comes to me, but let me let you ask me some more questions.
Okay, now we easing on down. We was talking about high school. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're in high school now. When you finished high school, so you saying that Chambers Children's House, they went to 12th grade?
No, it went to 8th grade.
8th grade, okay. Mm-hmm. Now, after 8th grade, where did you go after 8th grade?
Tuskegee Institute High
School, okay.
Mm-hmm. Which started on the campus of Tuskegee.
So it started on campus?
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't at that high school it is now?
No.
Okay.
Tuskegee Institute High School, that's why we would call Baby Tigers.
That's right, absolutely.
So Booker T. Washington, when slavery ended, and I love the story of Lewis Adams.
Okay.
Because Lewis Adams set the tone for how Tuskegee Institute.
Okay.
That's different from Tuskegee the city now.
Right.
I think they did a piece 2 weeks ago, a city within a city. Mm-hmm. And I think Thompson and Attorney Thompson and some other folks and his wife and some other folks did a great job of putting together that particular documentary. And so when Lewis Adams and his wife, now Lewis Adams, check this out. Mm-hmm. Lewis Adams is a slave in Macon County.
Okay.
Right? And when freedom came, he married another woman that was not too far in Macon County, and they ended up having 16 children.
Okay.
Well, Lewis Adams was the child of the plantation owner. Am I right?
Ooh, okay.
He would sit by the window and listen to the tutors of his half brothers and sisters. And you know what that means, right?
Exactly.
Half brothers and sisters. Mm-hmm. Doing that, he learned 4 foreign languages.
Wow.
Okay?
Wow.
4 foreign. It just blows my mind.
Right.
So when freedom came, he and his wife started tutoring folks, learning how to read, write, and have a skill.
Right.
They looked up and the whole yard was full of black folks.
Wow.
Wanting to learn to read and write.
Right.
Now, I got a segue here.
Okay.
Yo, stop playing around.
Okay.
Go and get your education. Now,
Right.
you don't have to get a PhD.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to get a BS degree.
Right.
But go to school and learn something that's going to enable you to take care of your family.
That's right.
You can become a carpenter, a bricklayer. All of those skills are very much in vogue because when we start talking about how we're going to change Tuskegee, we got to talk about building and renovating and all of that. And we would prefer that our people have those jobs.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Now, if you want to smoke a little dope, okay. If you don't do it every day, all day,
Yeah.
you might be able to survive it.
Right, that's
But
right.
stay off of the cocaine and
Yeah.
all of them pills and all that stuff because
Yeah.
that will mess up your mind for real.
That's right.
Right? So why are you going to waste your talent? Now, God gave you something to do.
Right.
When you were born, God gave you something to do. Am I right?
That's right. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, let's stop doing all that stuff and go. We'll talk about how you do that in a minute.
Okay.
But I just have to say that our people had a thirst for knowledge.
That's right.
They kept it from us. In fact, you need to know if some white people found out that you could read and write, they would kill you.
Right. Yeah.
And one of my stories is this: a person that was putting together a school and stuff, and they asked her, why are you so invested in this whole business of putting the school together? She said, I learned it from my grandfather who was blind. And one day I asked my grandfather, how did you get blind? He said, the mistress's daughter was teaching me how to read. And when they found out that I could read, they put my eyes out.
Wow. Ooh, that's strong.
It is very strong.
That's strong.
And
That's
that
strong.
lets you know the what can happen, if we allow certain things to happen today.
That's right.
Right. So don't be going around, I'm not going to go to vote because, it ain't nothing there for me. Listen, stop it.
Stop it.
We are not perfect, but we are moving towards perfection, and you going to vote and vote for the right people, right? That's the other thing. Don't be just voting.
Right.
But vote because that's very, very important, and that's something that you got to deal with.
Okay.
So Tuskegee was formed by Lewis Adams, and the final part of this story, because I'm not going to go through all the story, y'all need to read for yourselves. When men could vote and women couldn't vote, and this was in the 1880s, two white guys that needed to have the support of the black community in order for them to get back into office. And they went to Lewis Adams and said, Lewis, we need the support. Can you give it to us?
Right.
What do you want? They thought he was going to ask for money, a mule, a cow, or something.
Right.
He said, I want a school for my people.
Right.
That story just resonates with me because he did not allow himself to be seduced into doing something that was selfish, but something that was for the good of our people.
That's right.
And that's why I love Lewis Adams. Okay.
That's a
So
story.
So when Booker T. Washington, Booker T. Washington was not the founder of Tuskegee University.
That's right.
Lewis Adams is the founder of Tuskegee University. Booker T. Washington was its first teacher and first principal.
Right.
But he was only 24 years old when he came.
Wow.
So that means that you don't have to talk about being young or old.
Right.
You can do things because God told you could do them.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's right.
And so that's the whole thing about Booker T. Washington and Lewis Adams. One day I'll come over and I'll be really prepared to talk about that story, because I think we're not doing enough to let young people know what they have inherited.
That's right.
We have inherited so much. It is just amazing how much has happened in this little town.
Right.
Now, I'm going back to Tuskegee.
Tuskegee High School.
Tuskegee Institute High School started because Booker T. Washington allowed everybody to come, and they were at the level that they were at.
Okay.
Right? Those people that could read, those people that could almost read, but he also made sure that they learn how to brush their teeth, comb their hair, take a bath.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
And be presentable and have a strong spiritual foundation. And so Tuskegee Institute High School grew out of that because they needed to move it from Tuskegee Institute and make it into a full-blown public high school.
Okay.
And that's what happened.
That's what happened. Gotcha. Okay, now we understand that. Now I was talking to you a while back, and you was explaining to me some things about, about apartment complexes and and the streets and all that kind of stuff like that. I want to get down to this nitty gritty right here, and you was explaining to me about the apartments. People say, well, you had to tell them about the difference between the black apartments and the white apartment. I just call it apartment, but the bricks, the project. You know what I mean? We were talking about that a while back, and explain to them about when you were saying about back then about the white projects and the black projects. You know what I mean? Break that down a little bit and bust it down. Let me know what you mean by that.
One of the things that happened was that you have to remember my parents and your grandparents were young. Okay, and after the Moton Field and the other training facilities were, in World War II was over, they took the white, they were duplexes.
Okay.
And then they had, that's where the officers stayed.
Okay.
And then you had the brown, long, where kind of a barracks thing that they divided into different living quarters.
Okay.
Right? And they put all of that right below Tuskegee Institute High School. So all that land, there's nothing there.
Right.
That's where we all lived.
Yeah.
That used to be the projects.
Right.
Right? Now, that ain't the same projects that we're talking about. It's a different project. And a lot of the people that I named already lived in that project. I mean, we had so many kids that lived in the projects, and we just lost our last mother who was, part of our childhood the other day. She was 100 years old.
Wow.
And Mrs. Walton.
Okay.
I don't know if you know Mrs. Walton, but Mrs. Walton's funeral was this past weekend.
Okay.
And I wrote a thing about her being our last mother.
Okay.
And they were all contemporaries. She was a contemporary of my mother and my father. She worked at the VA hospital with my father. But anyway, we all lived in the white projects, and the other people lived in the brown projects.
Okay.
And you know how the black people are.
Yeah.
The people that lived in the white projects were better than the people that lived in the
black projects. that color again.
No, it wasn't about color then. It was about the color of the house.
Right.
But really, all of us were children together, and we had a great time. It was. I mean, the children either went to Chambliss Children's House, St. Joseph Catholic School. Very few of them went to Lewis Adams, because Lewis Adams was, some of them did. Now that I think about it, went to Lewis Adams. So that that they all went to different schools. But yeah, we had the projects up there, and there's nothing there now.
Right.
But we're gonna put some there.
Yeah, we'll put some there.
Yeah, we're gonna put some there.
Okay. Now, after high school, what happened after high school?
Well, I had to make a decision about where I was going to go to college.
Okay.
Right? And because I grew up on the campus,
okay,
I did not want to go to school on the campus.
Yeah, right.
Because I didn't want my mother to see me drinking beer. Or doing anything else.
Right. Too close to home, they call it.
It was too close to home. And I knew how my mother was, you know.
Right.
And the chances of me staying on campus in the dormitory was probably going to be less.
Right.
Because, baby, you can stay home.
Right.
I can't stay home.
Right.
So I ended up going to Fisk University, where my father went to school. He went to Fisk University as well. And that's where I went to undergraduate school.
Okay.
And then I came back when I graduated. That's up in Nashville.
Okay.
And then I came back to Tuskegee, and my mother made sure I got a job that summer.
Okay.
Now, I'm not going to lie.
Uh-huh.
I was planning to party hard. I really was. I was really thinking that I could have a time before I went and looked for a real job.
Right.
But it turned out that was a really good thing. My mother got me that job, and I worked for the Tuskegee Institute Community Education Program.
Okay.
And that was the thing that changed my life.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the thing that changed my life. I was in Lee County.
Okay.
And it was a program to bring tutorial services to young people. Mm-hmm. I taught the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, all the way up to the 12th grades in the daytime. And in the evening, I taught adults.
Okay.
I think I was a little stunned at first that people didn't know how to read and write. Right? And so, I had to teach people, from the very beginnings, like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, 1, 2, 3. And I remember that in the back of the room, there was this man, and he was an older man. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, we heard him say, "Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. I can write my name. I ain't got to put an X no more."
Oh man!
Now y'all laughing,
but
we was crying.
And you acted it all the way out.
I know.
Hold up, that man in here.
But I never forget that man as long as and I don't remember his name. Mm-hmm. But everybody was crying and hugging and all that stuff because he found freedom in the ability to sign his name without having somebody to come along and authorize his X.
Wow.
He can write his own name. So I tell that story because I want young people to know, look, you got all this opportunity. This man didn't have that opportunity.
That's right.
He worked on a farm. He was a tenant farmer. He didn't even own the land.
Wow.
So we got to understand all of those things and figure out how we can not go there anymore. Right. So when I went on the campus, and Dr. Bertrand Phillips, he was the dean of students at the time. He was an amazing man. He still is. He's 96 years old, still spry, still, we're still in contact with each other.
Right.
And I brought him here to Tuskegee just before the COVID. I think it was 1919 when we brought him, he and his wife, to share with us and to give him an award for that kind of contribution that he made. Mm-hmm. But he taught us so much about what we have to do and how we need to organize to get things done.
Right.
And that was a major, major thing for me.
Great.
So then, you always talk about my first. I tell you, I do have a bunch of them.
You got a bunch of firsts. Let's get them firsts. What are them firsts?
The firstest was... the firstest was when I finally graduated from Tuskegee Institute. I got my master's degree. Okay. And I was the first black administrator for Allegheny Community College. I moved to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Wow.
And I moved to Pittsburgh because I didn't want to live in New York. I didn't want to live in the big city. I realized at that point I'm really a small town girl. Right. I'm all excited about living in the big cities and carrying on. And so I moved to Pittsburgh because my best friend was up there. And she said, "Girl, you need to come up here. There's plenty of jobs." I said, "Oh, okay." Mm-hmm. So I caught the airplane, and I went to Pittsburgh. And I got a job within 10 days after I got there.
Wow.
And that was one of them.
One of them?
That was one of them.
Great.
So I stayed there for a number of years. Mm-hmm. And eventually I got my PhD from the University of Pittsburgh.
Okay. All right. So That's one of the firsts right there. And what's your other first? Come on with it. We got these firsts going on now.
Yeah, you probably know more about my first than I do.
But I know one of them is this is your first time on podcast.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Yes,
First time on podcast.
This is my first time doing a podcast.
That's
period,
right.
And to do it with you guys is an honor. It certainly is an honor.
And also you our first female that we have interviewed on our podcast. The first female.
Oh my gosh!
Yes,
that's fantastic.
The first is coming around, ain't it?
I know. Any money involved with that?
And also, you was the first African American female.
No, I was the first woman.
First woman, period.
Period.
Okay, first woman to be mayor of this city of Tuskegee.
Yes, I was. I am very proud of that. It was. I never wanted to be a politician. That was not something that I set out to do.
Right.
That was not on my bucket list. My husband was more inclined to be a politician than I was. And, you know, I believe so deeply in how God talks to you. I mean, I'm old enough now to hear God in a different kind of way than when you're young, you know, because you don't have time to listen to God when you're young sometimes.
Right.
You just think you're in charge and you just go, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. But God has a plan for everybody. And if you listen, you won't make the kind of mistakes that sometimes you are inclined to make when you're young and do foolish things. I had been working at National Council of Funding. Well, first of all, I moved to D.C. and married my husband, Reginald Dunn. And we have a daughter. And I just lost my daughter Friday. I can say that she...
sorry to hear that. Wow.
Yeah, she succumbed to cancer.
Wow.
And, but she makes me very proud because despite the fact that she was ill, she did extraordinarily well. She was a vice president for Morgan Stanley out of New York. And she lived in D.C. And, you know, COVID was a good thing for her because she could continue to do her work at home while she was healing.
Gotcha.
And so she had her first operation in 2020.
Wow.
And unfortunately, nobody could get on airplanes and do any of that to go into any hospital. So I didn't do that. And she didn't want me to because she said if I come, then I wouldn't be able to get in to see her. And it was going to be a whole long time for her to go through the treatments and all that. Okay. So at any rate, I started working for the District of Columbia government, and I worked for Marion Barry, who was an extraordinary man. I mean, people have a whole lot of things to say about him, and he did a whole lot of different things too. But he was definitely a race man. He believed in black people, and so he structured his government so that black contractors could get 30. You know, he said 30% of all work that was out for bid was for black contractors.
Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
And he had a way of identifying with consumers. And so I was part of, and here we go first now that we got first, in terms of putting together the excellence model for how we were to respond to consumers. And I mean, I was part of developing the training for that.
Okay.
And you know, if you ever hear a person working for government that they stay to 10 o'clock at night doing the job, that's a fantasy, right?
Yes, it is.
Government folks ain't supposed to be.
No.
You know, but government people leave at 4 o'clock, right? Or 4:30, whichever. But no, we became so committed to the idea of doing the right thing for our people, that people stayed to do the work, and they were very committed. So I was part of designing the model for excellence for the District of Columbia government. And I learned a lot about how to do government. Okay. Now, I say that because that was my first experience dealing with government.
Right, gotcha.
Right? So I then left government, D.C. government, and I went to work for Dorothy Height at the National Council of Negro Women. And in that job, I was the first one to do the whole thing about women, women business and women in health and all of that, you know, because we have chapters all over the United States. So what I did not know at the time was that I was being trained to speak extemporaneously, because when you go to these meetings, Dr. Dunn, will you come and say a few words for us? So I learned how to, you know, do that. And not knowing that was in preparation for what was to come next.
Absolutely. Gotcha.
So I'm sitting at my house. I wasn't sitting. I was actually cleaning up before the cleaning lady came. I'm going to be honest, I had a rag around my head in the whole 9 yards. And I got a call. And it was, and I hope she doesn't mind me saying this, but it was from Laura Lee, Pastor Laura Lee.
Pastor Laura Lee.
And Pastor Laura Lee said, "Are you Lucenia Dunn?" I said, "Yes, I am, and who are you?" And she said, "I'm Laura Lee, and I understand you're going to be our next mayor." I said, "Are you serious?"
Yeah.
I'm not getting ready to leave my husband talking about going down to Tuskegee, talking about being a mayor. I don't even want to be a mayor. What are you talking about?
Right.
Well, she and Bobby Owens had started talking, and Bobby told her that I was going to be the next mayor. Right? Now, all this conversation is taking place without me.
Without you, right.
Knowing anything about it.
Right.
So, at any rate, I had a long conversation with Laura and Pastor Lee, and I went to sleep. And I woke up, and water was coming down. I'm not talking about tears like this. Water came down my cheek, like it met under my chin. And I heard a voice say, "Go home."
Wow.
I said, "I ain't going home." I said, "I'm not doing that."
Yeah.
Go home, said it 3 times.
Wow.
So I just, put it behind me. And then about a week later, I went to my post office box, to my mailbox.
Right.
And there was a check in that mailbox for $12,000. To this day, I have no idea where that money came from.
Yeah.
Because I also knew I couldn't go and say to my husband, Reggie Dunn, "Reggie, I think I want to go down to Tuskegee and run for mayor." He would have laughed right on out of the door. He would not. And he certainly wouldn't have given me no money to go down there and do that, right? So anyway, to make a long story short, I said, let me go down and see what's happening. And I went to see Judge, the probate judge before Cooper, Menifee.
Menifee, okay.
Judge Menifee. Now, you have to understand, I knew Judge Menifee when he was a tall, skinny boy in high school.
Okay.
And I think he was in my brother's class.
Okay.
And so I walked in, and first place, there wasn't nobody in that office but me, and that was a miracle.
Okay.
So at any rate, I went in there, and he told me who I should go see and all that. And I started seeing the people. In 5 days, I saw everybody that I need to see. Now, I want you all to know, Lucenia Dunn had no idea about how to organize to run for anything, much less mayor.
Mayor, right.
But there it is. I started off with 3 people. I ended up with 12 people.
Wow.
And they were absolutely fantastic.
Great.
Not only that, my high school classmates and some of my schoolmates got behind me, and I got 63% of the vote.
Wow.
With the largest turnout in the history of Tuskegee.
Wow.
Now, that ain't talking about what happened after that.
Yeah.
I ain't going to go into that story because then y'all be putting me off this thing because I'll be saying something stupid. But it was, for me, a growth opportunity. It also allowed me to, use as much of my skills as I possibly could. And someone said, Dr. Dunn, you were the revolutionary mayor.
Wow.
Because I found out where the money was.
Right, exactly. Okay, revolutionary.
So
okay.
all y'all who plan to assassinate me, y'all just need to back off because I ain't going nowhere and I ain't putting none of y'all in jail.
Okay.
That was stupid. That was stupid.
But let's back up a little bit. We're going to back up a little bit.
Okay.
Let's go back to the Greenwood area.
Okay.
Let's go back to Greenwood because it's a lot of streets over there, a lot of avenues.
Oh yeah.
And all of that. And you have something in front of you that can be able to let us know about these particular streets that some of these people live on right now.
That's right.
They folks live on them or have lived on them before. Let's go down and list some of these streets and give us a little background on some of these streets right here.
Now I have to do this in context.
Okay.
Okay. Booker T. Washington's school grew very fast.
Okay.
And he was bringing in all kinds of people to do all kinds of things. And he brought a lot of expertise into this community. And he was able to negotiate with, I think it was President Hardin. I'm not sure about that. Y'all check that out. And he was able to get a post office that was different from the post office downtown.
Right.
Because he didn't want the people that worked for Tuskegee University to have to be harassed by anybody.
Gotcha.
So that's why we have Tuskegee Institute keep saying that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Tuskegee Institute Post Office.
Right.
Right. It is an historic moment because there's not another post office dedicated to black people in the United States.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
We had everything. We didn't have to go downtown for anything.
Right,
we had everything. We had businesses. We had, I remember Miss Frazier right there where the Commodores had their little thing on their little club right there on Montgomery Road.
Right.
Well, that belonged to Miss Frazier's gas station.
Okay.
But she was not only only the gas station, but she was the one who sold you a car.
Ooh.
Right? So you would go in with your little $7,000 and you would say, Miss Frazier, I want a green Chevrolet with white wall tires, whatever it was that you wanted.
Yeah.
Right? She said, well, okay, baby, I'll sign this paper and I'll have that for you in 2 weeks.
Ooh.
And she would have your green Chevrolet, right? So that's the kind of thing that we had.
Right.
We had Allen's store where we bought, he had a place where we could sit down and have a sundae and a milkshake and all of that kind of stuff, right? And you could buy jewelry and all kinds of stuff,
Right.
all of that. And then we had down there where the playground is for the children's place down there that was done by Brother Johnson, with the yellow building down there.
Oh, you're talking about down there, right there by across the street from by the post office. Down at the little area. Yeah,
that's right.
Terrence Johnson.
Yeah,
okay, I got you.
That used to be a place where. Oh Lord, I lost his name.
Was
Mr. Snowden.
Right.
That was Snowden's thing
gas
over
station,
there, right? Yeah. Now, okay. Booker T. Washington understood that he needed a place for his people to live. So he called his roommate from Hampton, because that's where he came from. He came from Hampton Normal School. And he called Charles Green down and he said, Charles, I want you to do two things. I want you to be in charge of the Tuskegee Normal School farm, and I want you to find a way to develop a place for our people to live.
Okay.
I wish I had that thing with me now, because they had a little advertisement in there.
Yeah.
And they said, you can buy a lot for $50.
Wow.
And if you got a corner lot, it was $75.
Wow.
Now, Booker T was cool because he did not say that he was the one selling that, right? He let Charles do all that kind of work, and he got the Southern, and Guy Trammell can tell you all about this, but the Southern something, which was a financial institution, right? Wow. Where they could go and get a loan to buy the lot. Well, the house had to have not only a house, but they had room for chickens and a garden.
Okay.
Right, for every lot. Right. Everybody had to have, you could do your garden and you could do your chickens.
Wow.
Right? All right. Now, Booker T was also a guy that honored the people that helped him do his work. And the streets were named after those people in Greenwood. Washington Avenue is obvious. That's Booker T. Washington, right? Mm-hmm. Right? Adams Street, I'm naming some of the major streets now, was named after Lewis Adams. All right. Anderson Street, which is so pitiful. Anderson Street now has trees growing up in the middle of it. Have y'all been over there to see? Y'all been over there to see what's going on?
Where is Anderson Street?
See, that's what I'm talking about, because you can't even get there anymore. It growing up, and the pavement is all buckled up and weeds and all that. But Anderson was named after Charles Anderson, who was a good friend of Booker T. Washington. Okay. And he appointed, President Theodore Roosevelt appointed him the internal revenue collector for the lower half of Manhattan. And then what he did was he ensured that all black Republican officials, both elected and appointed, would support national policies that Tuskegee promoted. Okay, now he didn't even live here. Right. But he promoted Booker T. Washington and Booker T. Washington's effort. Bailey Street, do you know where Bailey Street is?
Not exactly.
It's over there in the same area where Anderson Street is. And he was the first black to earn a BA degree in architectural engineering from the University of Illinois. And he designed some of the campus dormitories, including Whitehall, and he designed 2 churches in Montgomery. So we're talking about 1910 and 1912. Right. Bibb Street, which is...
Bibb Street. Yeah. I know about Bibb Street.
But it was Mrs. Eloise A. Bibb Thompson was an author of the news media, and she was a special feature writer for the Sunday issue of the Los Angeles Tribune and the Morning Sun of Los Angeles, and she was involved with the Diocese of Monterey and Los Angeles, and her husband moved from Tuskegee to Los Angeles after working for Booker T. Washington for several years now. I'm going to show you all pictures of these people. Now, can you all see this? Am I doing it right?
Yeah, and then show it to this camera right here, too, as well.
Okay. This one right here?
Yeah.
Okay, can you all see these? This is a little awkward, but y'all get the point. Okay, now let me go to some of the other ones that you might know.
Okay.
Bruce Street. Remember Bruce Street?
Yeah, Bruce Street.
Okay, that was named after Josephine Beale Wilson Bruce. And she was the Tuskegee Institute's Dean of Women, and actually Tuskegee Normal Dean of Women. Wow. And she was involved with fighting for women's rights and all that. And she was the first colored teacher in the Cleveland public school system. And her son, Roscoe Bruce, graduated from Tuskegee in 1902 and became head of the academic department. Wow. So she has quite a bit of history right here. Wow. Callaway. I know you know about Callaway. Callaway Street is named after James Nathan James Nathan Callaway. And he was a Tuskegee instructor, business agent, land developer, and manager of Marshall Farm. He led Tuskegee's team to Africa's Togo for the cotton development project with Germany. Mm-hmm. And he surveyed the land and laid out the streets for the village of Greenwood. Wow. Now, let me tell you about that. Ooh-wee. They laid out the streets like you lay out a town. That's right. Right? And if you leave that, let me see if I have that. I think I have that. Let me see if I have
Show them a picture of it.
If I have a picture of it, I'm gonna show you all how he.
We're going back down in the history, y'all. We're going back down in the history.
This is one of the. I don't think I have that. I don't think I have that with me. Okay. But it's laid out just like any town that you would go to with the streets and all of that, they did a professional job. I think I just left that one at home. Okay. But okay, now let's go to the next one.
Okay.
Chambliss Street.
Chambliss Street.
Okay.
That's right there by the university.
That's exactly right. Chambliss was named after William A. Chambliss, and he was a native of Tuskegee.
Okay.
And he graduated from Tuskegee Normal School in 1890 and became a teacher and the herd manager at the farm.
Wow.
He later became a land manager for the campus, and Booker T. Washington put him in charge. That's who I was trying to talk about, the Southern Improvement Company, which was the company that the people went to get the loans from.
Gotcha.
Right? And so when the white people found out about Booker T. Washington doing that, they were trying to hook him up.
Right.
And say, well, he must be stealing the money and all that other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He said, no, I ain't got nothing to do with that.
That's right.
So I love how he did that. He also built the Chambliss building. You remember the Chambliss building right there on the campus?
That's right.
Which housed the Bulls Hotel and
Bulls
the
Hotel.
Burroughs Pharmacy.
Wow.
Okay. Now, the Bulls Hotel was the first hotel for black people in the state of Alabama.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
He later donated that building to the campus, and he built Chambliss Children's House. Okay. Clark Avenue.
Clark, yeah, that's right. Clark Street.
You know Clark?
That's Clark Avenue, yeah.
Jane E. Clark earned a Bachelor of Arts degree from Oberlin College. She was the Dean of Women at Tuskegee Normal School from 1902 to 1906. And Emmett J. Scott, which was Booker T. Washington's assistant, said, the girls are constantly under the strict and watchful care of the Dean of the Women's Department.
Wow.
And she made sure that they didn't get in no trouble.
And the funny part about these streets, I thought all these streets were named after men, but it's a lot of women.
No, a lot of women.
A lot of women.
Women.
This is very surprising.
Gregory Street? Remember Gregory Street?
Yep.
Gregory Street?
Yep, right over there
no
on campus. It's right there, right above Masons. Right above Masons.
Okay.
Yeah, right above Masons.
Right. William H. Gregory also graduated from Tuskegee, and he was the supervisor of the campus brickyard and the brick-making instructor.
Wow.
The brickyard produced in 1 year 2,231,000 bricks.
In 1 year.
Do you understand that? You understand the enterprise that was, and they used to ship. If you look behind, if you're coming from downtown, right, coming to the campus.
Come to the campus.
If you look way over in the back, you can't see it too good now, but there used to be some railroad tracks.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, right.
And the train used to come
That's
on
right.
up, straight on up.
That's right.
And they were making shoes
right.
and mattresses and all kinds of stuff, including these bricks. Put them on the train and send them to other places.
Yeah.
How do I know? I'm riding down the street in Prince George's County, and I'm looking and I'm like, oh my God, that's a Tuskegee brick.
Right.
And the people in the car said, how do you know? I said, because the Tuskegee brick is different from all other bricks.
Wow. What was the difference? What's the difference?
It's the makeup of the
mortar?
the mud. The actual clay.
Clay, okay.
Right? The clay has look, let me tell you what you look at. You remember the old Black band card that's right there?
Right.
Okay,
Right.
You go look at that brick. You'll see how that has a kind of an orangey look.
Mm-hmm.
Next is the Phelps Hall.
Okay.
That's the one that has nobody in there right now.
Right.
If you look at that brick, you will see that it has kind of a reddish tone to it. Then you look at the old administration building, which is right next to that, right? That's deep, dark red.
Right.
It is just the way when they bake the bricks, and then where the mud came. Now, Brickyard Hill is named Brickyard Hill because that's where they got the mud from.
That's right.
The clay. I keep saying mud, but it's the clay.
Right.
Right. They got the clay. What we need to do is find out exactly where that clay was
Right.
and start making these bricks again.
That's right.
Right? That's what I'm saying.
Right. Right.
All right. Okay. Green Street, you know Green Street?
Yep, right next to it.
He was the one who was Booker T. Washington's roommate and friend.
Okay.
And he was the one who helped to develop
Green Street.
the green thing. Holsey Street. Most people don't know where Holsey Street is.
That one got me there.
Yeah, because it's kind of over there in the back of
area,
Greenwood area as well. And he was hired to assist Emmett Scott, because you can see his clothes are different.
Right.
And then he worked at Tuskegee for 36 years, and he helped to put together the National Negro Business League.
Wow.
Now, the National Business Negro League and just merged with the Black Chamber of Commerce,
Okay.
the National Black Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
And so I'm not sure why they did that, but maybe that's a good thing. Just depends on what they did.
Mm-hmm.
But the National Black National Negro Business League is very old. It was started in 1912, I believe it was, and it's still going on.
Over
That's
100
my
years.
point. I was trying to figure out the year.
Okay.
Johnson Street.
Okay.
You remember Johnson
Johnson
Street?
Street. That's in that
That-
area, same area.
That's right. And it was named after Dr. Hallie Tanner Dillon
Another female.
Johnson. Now, let me tell you what's so very, very important about her. And I'm going to hold up the picture so y'all can see. This is Hallie. Hallie. Am I doing it right? Okay. This is her. She was the first female in the state of Alabama to be licensed as a physician. She also started the hospital that later became John Andrew Hospital
Wow.
in Tuskegee. Okay, Logan Street. I know you know where Logan
Oh,
Street is.
yeah. Logan Street.
Well, Warren Logan was a graduate of Hampton, and he was one of the first teachers at Tuskegee Normal School, and he later became the treasurer. And he is best known as the treasurer for that. He also married Adele Hunt, who was Booker T. Washington's first, I think it was female administrator. Penny Street.
Penny Street, right down
You know
the
where
street.
Penny
Yes, I know
Street
Penny
is.
Street.
And this was Reverend Edgar James Penny. And he was the great-grandson of Osceola the Indian.
Wow.
Now, he was a true Native American, right?
Wow.
Now, my mother's name was Osceola.
Okay.
And that's because my grandmother went to Spelman, and her roommate was a Native American. And she named her in memory of a good friend. Ramsey Street.
That's where I stayed. He'll meet Ramsey Street in the building.
Major Julius B. Ramsey, and he was the commandant of the cadets. Because the cadet thing, all know what the cadets are, right?
Right.
And we were one of the first black schools to have a program to induct people into the armed services.
Right.
So that was getting training on that. And then Scott Street, y'all know where Scott Street is, right?
Scott Street.
Scott Street was named after Emmett J. Scott, and he was the assistant to Booker T. Washington, and they had considered him to take Booker T. Washington's place when Booker T. Washington died, but that did not happen.
We got that history going on, y'all. We got history going on. Y'all need to
Robert Taylor.
Robert
Taylor Street.
Taylor Street. Y'all know what that is.
That's right. He was the first graduate of MIT, and he designed Tuskegee Institute's campus buildings, and he headed the school's industrial education department and designed over 5,000 Rosenwald schools,
That's right.
which educated over 600,000 colored people in the southern United States. Now that's saying something.
That's right.
George Washington Carver named, he designed how the buildings were to sit so that the building would sit and the water would flow down as opposed to flowing down into the water that they were drinking.
Wow.
He
Okay.
showed them what kind of plants and what kind of trees to put there.
Wow.
But the other interesting thing that most people don't know is the fact that the communities where these schools were built. Now, Rosenwald was one of the best friends that Tuskegee had. He loved Booker T. Washington. He gave a lot of money and was one of the people who funded the syphilis study. And that's a whole thing. I want to talk about that because that's very important. I'm not going to do it right at this moment, but remind me. And so the people had to raise half the money to get the other money to have the school. Most people don't know that. They just think that Rosenwald gave money and everybody got a free ride.
Right.
No, it was not a free ride. Those mothers and fathers sold sweet potato pies and everything else. You know how we can do.
That's right.
To raise that money. And I wish I had another time I would come over and have pictures.
Okay.
Because I want you to see the designs. Absolutely incredible that these black folks came together and designed the school for their children.
Wow.
And you know, we need to stop thinking that Negroes ain't you know what.
Right.
Noah and Thompson, this is Thompson Street. He was a teacher at Tuskegee Institute, and he was the first president of the Division 156 of the Marcus Garvey UNIA in 1920 with over 1,000 members. And he was very involved with Tuskegee University. Thompson Street, you know Thompson Street?
I know Thompson Street.
And that's Richard W. Thompson, who was the managing editor for the Colored American. He was what was called the Negro Press Bureau. And he syndicated news service for about a dozen black newspapers, which Booker T. Washington subsidized.
Now, those two Thompson Street, are they connected?
You know, that's a good question.
But I think it is two Thompson Street. I think one is going this way, and I think the other one's
going
going
that way. Yeah, I think you're right about
Yeah.
that. Watkins Street, I don't know too much about the Watkins Street, but Levi J. Watkins was in charge of Tuskegee Institute's Forest and Grounds Department. I think he is the Watkins person who is the who had the progeny. Well, let me say it right. His young people, Levi Watkins, that used to be president of Alabama State.
Right.
I think that they're related.
Oh.
And both of them are Levi J. Watkins.
Yeah.
And that was Lucenia Dunn's determination. Y'all better look it up for
Right.
yourselves. Make sure
That
it's
might,
right.
you know, that might be a young man that went to school with us. His name was Levi Watkins. I think the 5th or the 4th or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Levi Watkins.
Now, the other thing that Watkins did was that he did the road building and construction work.
Okay.
And he created the roads on the campus
Okay.
and in the village of Greenwood.
Okay.
Wheeler Street.
Wheeler
I know
Street,
you
go
know
ahead.
about
Yeah,
Wheeler
Wheeler
Street.
Street.
And this was the first black mail carrier in Chicago. And he studied law at the University, the Union Law School in Chicago. And then he was he was part of the founding of the National Negro Business League.
Okay.
And he was hired to supervise the business affairs of Tuskegee. Oh, I found it.
Okay.
This is it.
Okay, that's the map.
That's the map.
That's the map.
This is the map of Greenwood.
Greenwood,
Can
the
y'all
whole
see
map,
that?
y'all. The whole map. Take a picture, snapshot, shot of it, whatever you want to do. The whole map. And you can see exactly where all those streets are at.
I think it's important that we learn our history.
Yep.
Because then we can see where we belong. And even if you moved recently to Tuskegee, and I mean in the last 50 years or so, you are part of the Tuskegee community.
Right.
And, you know, we've got to stop making people feel like they don't belong.
Right.
All folks who live in Tuskegee and Macon County, all of it, you belong to us.
That's right.
You know, and we've got to do that. I want to just tell this last story, and that's
Okay.
about the syphilis thing.
Okay.
Trust has been a major issue about health care in not only this county, but the Black Belt County in particular, and black communities everywhere,
Right.
black people. We don't trust doctors, and we definitely don't trust research people.
Right.
Because we don't know what all they're going to do. Now, we heard a little rumor about what happened with the syphilis study. But let's see how it happened. John Andrew Hospital was the first full-service hospital for black people in the United States.
Wow.
Okay, we need to understand that. Now, when one of the presidents at Tuskegee Institute, Dr. Payton, decided, and I'm sure he made that decision based on money, that the school should not be in the business of health care in a hospital, he got rid of it. Now, there's a story behind that because I'm not doing that story totally. So I want to let you all know that is not the complete story. But that's how we no longer have John Andrew Hospital, right? So back in the day, in the 30s, Rosenwald gave the money to do the first, he gave him a grant to John Andrew Hospital to do the first experiment for syphilis among the 600 black men, or 627, I believe. I can't remember the exact, but it's 600 plus men that were part of the experiment. Now, I've always asked the question, guys, why in the world did they choose Macon County? What was it about Macon County that made them think they could come down here and do that experiment? It was about trust. Black people trusted the hospital, and they trusted the black doctors that were in that hospital, right? Most of us felt very privileged with the fact that we could go to a black doctor in a black-run hospital.
Right.
So there's that trust.
Right.
Then you got the stereotypical notion about black men, sex, and the diseases that come about from sex, like syphilis,
Right.
gonorrhea, all of that. I saw some documents, and I should have brought it with me so I could read it so y'all wouldn't think I'm lying, where in the medical journal that was run by white people, they said black men are oversexed, they want to have sex only with white women, and that they have extraordinarily large penises. Now, most of y'all have heard that stuff before, right? You know? So they felt like it was all right because, you see, they were immoral, right? So it wasn't going to be a big deal to do this experiment with.
Right.
Well, our people trusted them, so they said, well, we're not going to question them, so if Dr. Dibble says it's all right for us to take this injection or not take this injection, well, it's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay.
I want us to understand how you got to look at who is doing what and why. And that's why it's important for us to know our history.
Right.
Because when we understand who did what and why, then we can make an intelligent decision about what we're going to do or not do.
Right.
Right? Now, I'm going to be honest with y'all. When the COVID came out, I was like, no. You know, I'm not taking that. Nope. I don't know who. It ain't been out here long enough. We don't know where it's coming from. We don't know what it's going to do about it. And they're always trying to eliminate us anyway. Now, that's my paranoia. I ain't going to put that in paranoia on y'all. That was my paranoia, right? So I didn't do it. And when my daughter got sick, I said, oh, Lord, in order for me to get on this airplane to go see about my child, I'm going to have to take this shot.
Yeah, that's right.
That's why I took the shot.
Yeah.
I didn't take the shot because I thought it was going to cure me. I ain't going to lie.
Right.
But it came out of this whole business about suspicion around what is being done that is not going to be good for black people.
Right.
And we better be waking up and smelling the coffee because guess what? It's coming back around. Listen to Trump. Right? Listen to what he's saying. Now, I'm not trying to be political on y'all's show.
Right.
Because this ain't about politics. This is about the survival of black people. And if you're not listening to what these people are saying, if you're not willing to stand up and hold people accountable when you vote for them, and you see they're not doing things that's in your best interest or the best interest of your family, kick them out. Okay, don't be afraid to do that because we are so vulnerable. And we got a lot of land in Macon County, and I don't know if y'all know this or not, but I'm going to tell it anyway. that the opportunity zone, y'all know what that is? The opportunity zone came up under the Trump administration, which gave certain kind of breaks to business people. Okay? Mm-hmm. That's why Auburn is blowing up. That's why they're just building everywhere. You go nowhere. All right. Is anything like that happening here in Tuskegee or Macon County?
No.
Well, everybody got involved with it, got a certified to be a part of the opportunity zone except for the city of Tuskegee and Tuskegee University.
Wow.
Okay?
Opportunity zone.
The opportunity zone gives folks who are building a break.
Opportunity zone.
And that we don't have the opportunity zone in the city of Tuskegee, and we do not have it for Tuskegee University.
Wow. It's deep.
And nobody fought for us. Okay? Nobody fought for us to get to have the opportunity zone. But that's all right. That's all right. We're not going to worry about that. What we're going to worry about is coming together, making the plan, and working the plan. Because people love Tuskegee now. I'm going to tell y'all, I've been almost to every continent except for Australia. And everywhere I've been, I never said I was from Washington, D.C. or Pittsburgh. I always said I was from Tuskegee. And I remember I was in Nigeria, in northern Nigeria, where there's a lot of deserts and stuff. And I said, I'm from Tuskegee. And they said, oh, Tuskegee. So we need to be proud.
That's right.
Of our city. We need to be proud of the innovations that came out of Tuskegee. We just got started talking about that here. I mean, we could talk forever and ever about what's happening in Tuskegee and what we have done and if you just got here and you just moved from someplace to Tuskegee because you got that ticket that said you can only get a one-way ticket to Tuskegee because you're going to have to move to Tuskegee for whatever reason, and we ain't going to go into that right now. Yeah. But I don't want you all to feel left out. I don't want you all to feel left out because you are here now. Let's come together. Now, we are getting ready to, and right now I am President, CEO, and founder of the Tuskegee Macon County Community Foundation.
Okay.
The foundation is prepared to do the kind of work to help you make a decent living.
Okay.
That's what we're about. We are about the reduction of economic and health disparities in rural communities. Okay. That's what we're about. So we're trying to do what's necessary to have the kind of institutions in our community that's going to give us some more money. So I ain't worried about the opportunity zone. I just want y'all to know it. You know, I just want y'all to understand what is happening around you. And so now we can do stuff for ourselves. We did it before. We can do it now. And that's what we're going to do.
Right.
Because y'all going to keep on saying anybody talking about something stupid.
let me ask you a question.
Yeah, sure.
You know, on this podcast right here, I just sat and listened. Mm-hmm. But when you talk about Tuskegee, you talk about the African American race, mm-hmm. I see a fight in you. You know, even when Clay came in, I saw a fight in him. Patrick, I saw a fight in him. Where do you think we lost that fight that you guys have? That maybe my generation, Booty Rush generation, generations after us, you know, younger people. Where did we lose? What do you think? What went wrong to make us lose that love and fight that you guys have about Tuskegee, about being a black person? You know what I'm saying? Because like I'm telling you, I'm just watching your. If you go back, I'm just watching your movement and certain things that you say. You be like, look, y'all. I'm saying a lot of stuff, but y'all, excuse my French, y'all Negroes need to pay attention.
Yeah.
So what do you think we went wrong? Where we lost that fight that you guys have?
You know, Brother Streeter, you asked a very, very important question. And it was a question that we kind of raised in a meeting that I had on Thursday night. And we were actually talking about voting and all that stuff. But then we got down to the nitty-gritty, and we started looking at, we started dissecting, because that's what you're talking about. Dissecting what went wrong where. Now, the story is complex. It's not just one thing. My generation fought to get the voting rights. We fought to get integration and all of that stuff. But we failed to define integration for the way we saw integration.
Gotcha.
We let other people define integration for us. And as a result of that, we closed, or some of our best schools got closed. Some of our best principals who were doing the right thing, our teachers, they got scattered. And so we didn't have that cohesive kind of community process where values are transferred from one generation to the next. Okay? That's one aspect of it. The second thing, we started having a lot of politicians, black politicians that ran for office and won primarily because they were black. And we were so excited about them being black that we forgot to ask the question, what you gonna do for us? And even if we did, we didn't stand up when those people started hammering away and doing all those negative things to people who were trying to do something. Right? So it became a very self-centered process. And as a result, brought in some negative elements into our community. I'm going to talk about one because I know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
One of them is the drug business. Now, there was a whole deliberate thing, not just in Tuskegee, but nationwide, to imbibe us with the drugs so that we would lose all of our sense of who we are, what we're doing. We were so busy chasing the drug thing. Right? So Tuskegee became, and you can go to the Birmingham News because they sure did the whole story on it because I was stunned. We became one of the major drop-off points for the drug business. Okay? Now, aeronautically, between Tuskegee and Columbia, South America, is short distance. Planes came in, dropped the drugs, they went on. Because, see, we are now close to I-85. Now, what did that do to our community? People got to fighting. They got to shooting. They started betraying each other. It became a solid mess. Okay? Wow. I was so stunned. Because, see, when I first came back to Tuskegee and I ran for mayor, I'm thinking about Tuskegee like Tuskegee was when I was growing up.
Right.
I had no idea the changes that had happened in the time that I left and came back. And I started hearing stories like, I was sitting at my auntie's house and the gun started off and we had to fall down on the cold floor and we had to stay down on that floor for hours waiting on the guns to stop. What? Yes.
Wow.
Okay. So there is a deep-seated resentment and in some cases hatred by the younger generation. A 13-year-old told me this. Now, this is a 13-year-old boy in high school. He said, y'all always going around here talking about the fact y'all had the swimming pool and y'all had all kinds of sports and all of that. And he said, S-H-I, you know what?
Yeah.
And then we ain't got nothing. And he said it just like I said it. I said, oh my God, I got it. So I immediately started pulling people together and looking at Camp Atkins, because Camp Atkins is the only black-oriented Boy Scout camp in America.
That's right.
I went to Camp Atkins. That's where I learned how to do the Brunson burner and do all of the stuff that you learn how to do for camping and all of that. All of that. I learned how to do that right there.
Atkins.
So the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts, we had Boy Scout organizations all over town.
Right.
We don't have any Boy Scout organizations much anymore. And I certainly haven't heard anything about a Girl Scout organization. Not that that was a panacea, but that was like people coming together. No matter where you live, you began to form a relationship with each other. And you began to plan together, and you began to respect each other for whatever talents that you had and that you brought to the thing. The other thing that we did, my generation was so excited about being able to go and do this and do that and go someplace and blah, 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 that we could live next door to white people and get out the so-called ghetto and all that. Mm-hmm. And we forgot to take our history with us when we moved out. Our children don't know. I grew up with Booker T. Washington. I grew up with George Washington Carver. Every Easter, we put on our little Easter clothes, and we walk up on the campus, and we would visit the George Washington Carver Museum.
That's right.
Now our kids ain't ever been on the campus.
Right.
Much less understood and been through all the processes that we went through. See, because learning is not just about sitting in a classroom. It is also about having certain experiences that you learn about, right? I ain't never read, until I got grown, the story of George Washington Carver, but I knew who he was, right? I knew who Booker T. Washington was.
Right.
You know, I knew who Charles Kelly was, who was one of the ministers at Greenwood Baptist Church, who was one of the early ministers before Reverend Harvey. Reverend Harvey always said, "Is this the right road home?" I remember that. Wow. I'm sitting in Greenwood Baptist Church, sitting in the pew, talking trash with Marion Judkins and takes Dolores Stone, and we laughing and carrying on, but we heard it.
Right.
When the civil rights movement process went on, and we did the boycott downtown for the right to vote, the men hooked up the speaker at Old Washington Chapel Church, which you know right up above,
right.
and Greenwood, and my house was in the middle.
Okay.
So all the children came, and they were all in my yard. But guess what? We heard everything.
Wow.
Because it was the big speakers, and people were outside and inside of Greenwood. Same thing with Washington Chapel, and we heard. We discussed. We talked about it like we knew what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Right. We, like I told y'all, we were debating between what was the merits of Booker T. Washington versus the merits of Du Bois and all that kind of stuff. It's a community process that we have failed to continue, and so our children don't know. And you know, I'm very disturbed by the fact that our school system is not living up to par when we need our school system in order to attract what? Businesses and jobs. Right? So, you know, I'm not blaming the Melissa Williams, so I want to make sure y'all all understand that's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
I'm talking about we have not given the kind of support that we used to give to Tuskegee Institute High School. Let me tell you, PTA meeting, Chambliss Children's House, Lewis Adams, Washington Public, St. Joseph School, you couldn't get in because the parents were there.
That's right.
And the parents made certain demands. They didn't have to do no walking and talking and carrying on, but they were interested and knew our teachers. Our teachers knew them, right? I remember at Chambliss Children's House, they used to have this annual fundraiser for the PTA, and the parents would dress up like children.
Right.
And they would sing and dance and all that. So we like, oh, I didn't know my mama could sing. So what I'm saying is we lost our community. You know, we lost our community. We got to get it back.
Right.
And you ain't got to have no PhD. And I keep saying that because people think and get an inferiority complex because they ain't got a PhD. No, you don't have to have a PhD. What you got to have is good sense.
Good sense.
And a commitment to do the right thing. Now, you know, we never heard anything about girls and boys getting, you know, sexually abused. We never heard about that. We never knew anything about that. Now, maybe it was going on and we just didn't know. But now it's out there.
Right.
And we got to stop that. This disrespect between males and females, whether it's your man or your woman, and I'm gonna talk to the girls. Put some clothes on. You know, men are strange beings. Okay, Now, what I'm talking about is they may whistle and all that kind of stuff. When the deal goes down, they want to be seduced. And so you start off with all your clothes on. Okay? I ain't talking about, you know.
She said, okay.
I mean, I'm just being real.
Right.
Right? Now, y'all know that sex is very important. And it certainly is. I'm 80 years old and sex is still important to me too. Okay? You never give it up. But the point I'm making is you ain't got to be all out and bare and everything.
Right.
And take them eyelashes off your eyes. And all that false hair. You know, you got to stop it, y'all. You're so beautiful. You don't need all of that.
Oh, man.
Right? We set the tone for style coming out of the black community. Let me tell you, I was in China. I'm sitting there and at a restaurant. And this little Chinese boy came in. That hat you got on, turned to the side. Had his pants dropped down and had to walk. You know that walk. You know how y'all walk.
Yeah.
It's a rhythm to the walk.
Right.
I said, if our kids could see how we influence the world.
Wow.
We influence the world. And so, let me tell you, ain't nobody heard about rapping until we did it.
Right.
Now it's just so funny to hear somebody going, King and now they're just talking and they rapping in their language.
Yeah, right.
I mean, everywhere.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to rhyme.
So you say influence, right? I gotta ask one because I forget.
No, go ahead.
So I'm gonna speak for me and Buddha Resh here because we've had this conversation before. We both have been approached or been around somebody that say, "Hey, you should run for this," or "You should run." But of course, our answer's gonna be, we're not political people. Just like you said, what would you tell that younger person that's out there that's probably would be good but scared because they feel they not political? Or I know you say you don't have to have a PhD, but what would you tell that person that wants to see change, but you know they're scared, you know, they feel like, oh, I can't talk in front of people, or I'm gonna get caught up in my words, or I don't have the education?
First of all, come see me.
Okay.
And I say
You hear?
that
You hear?
because I'm going to teach you how to do it. Somebody taught me. Wasn't born talking like this. I wasn't born having the kind of courage to go and do this. I was scared as heck. I was scared. I was like, I almost fainted the first time I got out before when the candidates start talking, and I was like, Lord, please don't let me be first, because I don't know what I'm talking about. I was mortified. And I'm going to tell you, what's the child's name? Because she got up first, and I was so happy that she got up first, because then she made a little speech, and then I said, oh, okay, that's what I need to talk about. Listen, stop trying to be perfect. It's not necessary. We need you all's young bloods to stand up and come on and run for these offices. Now, I could go and run for office. There ain't no question about it. I'm quite capable of doing that, and I know how to campaign, and people do know me, and they remember me and all that stuff, and I know how to talk. I do know how to talk, and I know how to tell the stories that I need to tell, but that's not the point. The point is to teach you all how to do.
That's right.
Right? I mean, they talk about Biden's age. He brings a certain wisdom and level of experience. I believe in intergenerational. I know the stories. I'll teach y'all the stories. I know how to talk. I'll teach y'all how to talk. Stop worrying about that. Just be committed with the value of don't let nobody talk you out of doing it and making you feel bad because they don't want you to do it, and they trying to keep you from doing it because they got their own agenda. You have your agenda too.
That's right.
If you want to make changes in Tuskegee for the better, because if you're not, I'm gonna try to knock you off. But I ain't. we want people that's about the business of making this town better.
Right.
we can raise the money to help you win and do the thing. We'll be your surrogates in terms of convincing those older people that say, well, they too young. No, they not too young. Right. As long as you got good sense, long as you know you're scared, but you're willing to go ahead and stand up and run for office. I want everybody on the city council and the mayor's office to get out the way and let y'all have it. That's what we need to be doing, right? And y'all need to know that you can have a place to come and have your questions answered and get the kind of training that you need to have to do whatever. I'm willing to do that. So I'm making a public commitment.
There you have it.
I'm making a public commitment.
And that's another reason why a lot of kids that don't want to run for office or want to get involved with politics, because they don't know a lot about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? They don't know how the decision been made and all that kind of stuff like that. So like, man, what the hell with it? Some of them don't even vote. You know what I mean? That's why I always coming at the polls is always the elder people vote, because they understand vote and what it takes to vote and what it means to them. You know what I mean? That's when I ain't vote, man. I ain't nobody I like. It ain't nobody you know. That's what, that's why they don't vote, because the campaigning, when you're campaigning, most time they get in there to go vote, it's the person that they sing the sign the most of. Yes. That's what they remember.
Yes.
You know what I mean? If you don't put a lot of campaign out, you put a lot of signs out. When they get locked in and get ready to make that vote, I don't remember that sign, but I remember that sign right there and that sign right there, and that's how they vote. You know what I mean? They don't go by how good you think they're gonna do. You're gonna do the job. They go by how many signs they see, and that's how they vote. The young folks now.
And I think, we're not gonna make it political.
Yeah, right.
But we already, so go ahead.
Yeah, I think also too, a lot of places where they had these debates, it need to be some newer, because a lot of the times, like myself, I don't know, because I've never really got into, but just say if Booty Rush had on his page, hey, I'm having a debate for the people that's running for blase. Now it's going to catch, I'm going to go check on Booty Rush. And it's nothing against the older people,
sure.
But I just think some younger people probably need to step up and start having, these debates at different places that, like we younger people say, got some motion.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because we'll see it on their page, or we'll, you know what I'm saying? But
you are right. You're right about this, because I'm really just learning about how to do email. And Lord knows I'm not putting anything on a page on my page. Facebook page. Thank you. See, I didn't even know the name of it. The Facebook page. You all grew up with that. Y'all know how to do that.
Right.
So if you put those things together, us old people that know the stories, we know how to do it. Y'all know the technology, and y'all know where the future lies. Y'all know that. You don't realize that you know that. Because, see, sometimes you know more than you think you know.
Right.
Right? So my thing about all of this is don't be scared. Be brave.
That's right.
And go on and go out here. I'm looking for people, and I'm going to be honest. They say I'm doing this anyway, so now I'm going to make it in. Right. I'm going to do it formally. Yep, I'm doing it now. Right. Y'all need to stand up. Y'all need to vote, and y'all need to run for office. Right. Sis. Yes, sir.
I was talking to Willie a while back, and before we had got the podcast, and it was neck and neck with the now he was getting ready to run for office, and we was talking about they was having the form and all that right there, and I said that'd be nice if we just brought the form and had it on our page, but we really didn't want to get into politics that much, but I thought we had came up with an idea, and people that's running for office, and what really be catchy if we said, well, instead of having a form, let's have a formula. So that mean that, so that mean that whoever running for office, show us your formula. What do you got? Tell us what you're gonna do, what it's gonna take to be able to run your position. Give us your formula. You know what I mean? Give us your ingredients. Give us, you know what I mean? Give us everything you got or what you're gonna do. You know what I mean? To hold this office down. Give us your formula.
I think that's an excellent idea, because that's what it's really about.
That's right.
make people tell you and question what they're talking about.
Right.
You see, if somebody says to you, if you know, now I know I'm getting ready to get in trouble now, but if you know something about these people that are running for office, tell it. You don't have to be afraid. What are they going to do to you? Are they going to put you in jail because you're telling whatever truth you know?
Public record.
You ask. Thank you.
Public
The public record is there. What did you do for us? And we all know much of the answers to that, and you're going to know whether or not they are telling you the truth.
Right.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to stand up. Y'all got enough moxie and intelligence and strength and spirit to turn this town back into what it should be. This is a haven for Black innovation.
That's right.
This is the place where people come. Can you imagine having 40,000 people here for homecoming? Now, some ought to ring in your head about, oh my God, that's a lot of people. Why are they coming?
Mm-hmm.
Ask the question, why are they coming?
Why are they coming?
There is an answer. Mother Tuskegee and the Tuskegee spirit, you can't get rid of it.
Right.
Right? And when you decide that you're going to be here, you're going to catch it, whether you want it or not. It's like the virus, the Tuskegee spirit. So, yes, don't be afraid. I think that's the real answer to all of this. Don't be afraid. Let's come together. We, old people, are looking, and we want and will support.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's great. Well, that's going to be, we're going to wind this thing on down. Dr. Dunn, was so nice being here with you and hearing your stories. And every time we have a guest on here, we always end up finding out a lot of things that we didn't know at first. Mm-hmm. And it's a very beautiful thing about that, too, as well. But I just want your take on, we talked about it a little
mm-hmm.
earlier, but about, give us your last remarks on what it's going to take just to get Tuskegee. I can't say we're going to get it back like it used to be, but how can we just turn the nozzle and head it back to where we was at? How can we get it turned? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Give us your take on that.
First place, we're not going to be able to get it back the way it used to be.
Right.
And I don't even want it to.
Right. What
I do want is for us to go and that we use that long time ago as the foundation. Mm-hmm. As you know, we don't really have to think of anything new. Booker T. Washington and his boys thought of all of it, and we just go back and study him and see what is there and put it into the modern vernacular. You know, for an example, why can't we be the Black technology, I guess, I don't want to say guru, but that this is the place for Black technology.
Right.
Now, what does that mean, Black technology? What that means is understanding how technology is used. We have missed so many opportunities in this community. For an example, there's a young man that I'm close to who develops apps. Mm. He had to get out of town.
Wow.
We have a terrible way of eating our young. And that's a terrible thing to say the way that I'm saying it, but I mean what I'm talking about. We have a way of undermining the young people and their aspirations and the things that they bring to the table. We have a way of disrespecting the love that they have for this town and this county. And we got to stop that. And we got to step up. Us old people in particular got to step up and say, no, y'all ain't going to do this to our babies. No, right. No. Our babies need to have a place where they can be whole and they can invent and they can be innovative and that they can make a contribution the same way that you did.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Okay. How do we do that now? First of all, we need to have the right people in office. Now, I'm not being political when I say that. I'm just being practical. Because so many policies and rules and regulations come out of our political class. We need to hold the people who are currently in office, hold the I shouldn't say this, the blowtorch on their butts. Okay? So that they understand that we're not playing. All right? You need to go to the meetings and hear what they're saying, and you need to say, no, we don't want that. Yes, we want that. You need to bring ideas to those meetings. This is what we're thinking. This is what we want to do. And no, you're not going to undermine our process. And if you see the process being undermined, then you start moving towards a strategy to deal with that person who is undermining the process.
Wow.
Okay?
Wow.
You got to be brave enough to do that. Don't sit in the corner and say, well, I know that's what they're going to do, and I ain't going to do that. I'm just going to move out of town. No. Come back to town. Let's make it better together. You know, when you start talking about a model for excellence, what are you talking about? What does that mean? When people go to Tuskegee, well, it's not Tuskegee Institute High School anymore. It's Booker T. Washington High School.
BTW.
What are we saying? What do we want that child, that boy, that girl to look like when they graduate from that school? What kind of skills do we want them to have? Mm-hmm. What kind of experiences do we want to give them? You know, all of those things. Don't expect the superintendent and the schools to make all those decisions by themselves.
Right.
Get involved with this process. I have to give a shout out to Notasulga High School because they just got some bad news. But I want to tell you all, they are doing some things over there that I love. Number one, they hooked up with the Schweitzer Foundation, which I helped do, and taught kids about lab work, taking blood pressure, doing all of that. And they had a white coat ceremony, and I have some pictures of that.
Wow.
And these children were so excited. They were just, you know, they would, and they started off with something like 8 kids, and now they don't have room enough for the children. Because the children can see and feel that there's something important going on that they need to know and be a part of.
Okay, that's great.
Now, at Vibes, y'all got some young people coming in here. You're teaching them about how to have good customer service, right? Mm-hmm. That you had young chefs. I don't know who you got back there now, but the food ain't changed, so it must be the same people. But you're teaching them about being creative with the food that we have. Mm-hmm. Oxtails, Lord have mercy. Those oxtails are just the bomb, right? I've brought people here, and they go away like, oh, my God, that's the best food I've ever had. You know, that is what we have to continue to do. We have to demand good service. I had a guy to tell me that he came in, he was trying to give business to Tuskegee, and he went to the places where he thought he was going to get good service for his car. Well, my goodness, by the time he told me the story about, and I ain't going to call no names because I ain't going to get nobody in trouble, but I will talk offline about it, mm-hmm. that they gave him such poor service and did not fix his car and then demanded all this extra money. No, we got to stop that crazy stuff. Let me tell you about one other thing. I love the people that are doing the inspections, but they got to go home because I know they are not qualified to do the inspections. Now, when you do that and you drive people away that have some cash money to put into our community, you are not being of good service to this community. Now, y'all know who I'm talking about, and I ain't got to call his name, right? So, talk to him and tell him what he needs to do.
Don't say that stupid.
It got nothing to do with our part.
I'm sorry to be stupid,
Hold on,
but I'm sorry.
I had to go some. Oh my God. Okay, all right, we back. We back. I had to hit a little horn. Y'all couldn't hear it, but.
But let me just say this. First of all, this podcast is very important.
Right.
Yeah,
this podcast is important because you all allow us to come on here and to really have a real conversation.
Right.
This is the first place I have been in outside of when we were doing the Booty Rush show.
Yep.
But this is a little different because you all have allowed me to talk about stuff I've never talked about in public before.
Wow.
Right.
And I think it's just that time that I need to share this information with people because we got to save our town.
Right.
We got to save our county. We got to stop talking about Tuskegee as it is a entity in and of itself. We're going to have to talk about Shorter. We're going to have to talk about Franklin. We're going to have to talk about Notasulga. We're going to have to talk about all those unincorporated towns that have made a contribution to this society and make them feel as much a part of this Tuskegee experience as anybody else.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. You're right about that.
We are.
Talk about the experience that we had at with the middle school kids.
Oh my God. I have to talk about this.
Okay.
I guess it's been 2 years ago now. I was invited to speak to the 7th, 8th, and 9th graders at Booker T. Washington High School
Okay.
for Black History Month. And so we did, we had them in and we talked and we had a great time with them. We did what we call a sticky note survey. It was 3 different sticky notes. One sticky note said, what do you feel that's good about Tuskegee? Another one said, what are you most afraid of Tuskegee? And I have forgotten what the third one was. But when we put together the data, and I can show you the data,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
and I'll give it to you all. If you all remind me, I'll give it to you.
Okay.
The thing that the children were most afraid of was being kidnapped.
Wow.
Now, these are 7th, 8th, and 9th graders, middle schoolers. Mm-hmm. They were most afraid of being kidnapped.
Wow.
That really blew my mind because I was like, "What? Who has been trying to kidnap you all? Mm-hmm. What would make you even?" And it wasn't like it was like 1 or 2 of them. It was a sizable majority of those children that they felt that way.
Wow.
The thing that they felt most proud about, believe it or not, was the Tuskegee history.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
that
great.
was the most thing that. So, that tells you that our children, I mean, they were so bright and they were so on it,
Right.
and they wanted to have more. And I said, well, that's what we got to do. So, intergenerational, y'all, that's very critical to the redevelopment of our town.
Okay.
I'm working with Norma Jackson, Councilwoman Norma Jackson, to renovate.
Shout out to
The-
Miss
the,
Jackson.
Okay. Shut up, Miss Jackson.
Absolutely. She's doing a great job. We're working to renovate Greenwood, bring it back,
Wow.
right? We're working on a whole other group of things that I'm not permitted to talk about in public right now, but we are steady working. I will tell you this, we have a $200 million project.
$200 million.
Now, y'all need to stop getting excited about $200 million because that ain't $1 billion.
That's right.
Right? So when you start getting excited, you need to be not getting excited about $250,000 because I can spend $250,000 at Dillard's on a Saturday afternoon. Okay. So now we got to be realistic about what it's going to take to turn our city around. You raised a question about what it's going to take. It's going to take money. And it's not, and let's stop talking about little money. Let's talk about how much money it's actually going to take for us to do the things. Now, I want to say one last thing. I keep saying that, don't I?
Yeah.
The infrastructure money is out there. The Biden administration made it possible for infrastructure money to be grants to be made.
Case closed. Okay.
Have you seen any infrastructure going on? I'm saying something stupid, all right?
It's real.
That's real.
But I want you all to know that, and hopefully that will egg some of our folks to go ahead and get some of that, so we can fix some of these roads, so we can fix some of these bridges, so we can fix some of the things, and not just do 1 or 2 roads, but to just look at the whole community. When I was mayor, I got a civil engineer to do a cursory look at what it would take for the city of Tuskegee to get its because I held 3 positions when I was mayor. I was mayor, I was the head of the utilities, superintendent of the utilities, and I was executive director of Head Start. Right.
Wow.
So I did all 3 of those.
Wow.
That says something about being young, doesn't it? So, so when he did that survey to see what it would take to put all of our water, sewage, and electricity back in place, it was $50 million. And that was back in the early 2000s.
Right.
Right? So you can imagine what it's like now in terms of the amount of money that we need. But we really need to stop talking about biscuits when we need a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
Right?
Gotcha.
And we need to talk about it in terms of how much it's really going to take to renovate our communities, not just Greenwood, but all over the city of Tuskegee. I ride around sometimes and I said, Lord have mercy, vines growing all over, da-da-da-da-da. And we also need to be careful about how we leave the inheritance. Because I know you're trying to be fair, but that gets it all tied up so that when you start doing stuff, if one person doesn't sign, you got a problem.
That's right.
So work that out, old people.
All right, go end out for today. We want to thank Dr. Dunn for coming in a minute, coming in here this morning. Well, actually, it's this afternoon right now. It's afternoon right now. But Dr. Dunn, I just want to say one last thing. Mm-hmm. How do you like this podcast here? What do you think about? What do you think about?
He just trying to pump for.
Yeah. What do you think about it?
He just trying to get a compliment.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Okay,
excellent. I love it. It's just really something that I hope you all will continue. And if you need some help around stuff, let me know. The foundation is there to help you all do stuff. If you need to get a grant, you can let it run through the foundation, and then I will set up a fund, and y'all can have the money. So I just want to offer that to you also, because this is very important to continue.
Okay, thank you. We want to thank you. And we'd like to thank you once again. What do you like the last words?
I just observed. I didn't have much to say this time. I just observed, but I definitely see the love that you have for the community. So just keep fighting for us, man, and hopefully we'll get on board with you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And you keep vibes going and this right here going, because I don't want to cook too much anymore.
All right.
Thank you all so much for having me.
Thank you for coming on. And we're gonna continue this another time, because we're gonna have to get you to get back on here for part 2. You would like to come back?
Yeah, absolutely. This time we'll be more focused, because we went all around the Mulberry Bush this time.
But that's good. That's what it's all about. We want to go here, we want to go there, and touch on a lot of different subjects.
Yeah.
But we once again want to thank you for coming on. You're very energetic, and that's what people want. We want the realness coming out, and everybody that gets on here, they talked about stories that they have never talked about publicly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every person that we have had on this show have said just about the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to continue, because people need to know a little bit more about people who they think they know, who they really don't know. You know what I mean?
Right.
So thank you.
You're
Streetlight Man, man, another good show, man. I think this is our 6th episode, isn't it? About our 6th. I think
Probably about so. Yeah,
about 6th. I mean, you did 2.
2.
Yeah, and then we had Bobby Davis. We had
George Clay, Coach
yeah,
Patrick.
George Clay.
So
we had Coach Patrick. We had you, and then we had 2 on our own. So this is our 6th.
This is great.
These many, y'all.
And I'm the first woman.
And she's the first female. That's right, first female. And we're going to continue this all month long on Women History Month. We're going to continue that all through this month of March. We're going to be doing that. So,
let me say, if you're a female and you got something, reach out, because we don't know sometimes. We might just, oh man. So just hit us up, let us know.
There's some women who are doing some fantastic things out here in Tuskegee. So
we need to get them
I can give
all
y'all a list of some.
Okay,
Cool.
all right, we'll do that.
Like women farmers.
Wow, yeah. You know that I got one of them on my list too. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, we got it on my list. But thank you y'all for tuning out. Y'all need to share this, man. Like and share this, man. Tell a friend to tell a friend, man, about Don't Say Nothing Stupid podcast, man. It's the hottest thing going on right now, man. I'm telling y'all, it's the hottest thing going on right now. So we gotta go, y'all. We gotta see you guys next time.
Peace
right
out.
here. And don't say nothing stupid. Head nod. We're head nodding. We got to do a head nod.
Yeah.
Y'all ready?
Yep.
Ready? Head nod.
That was
Oh,
fun.
boy.
Peace out. Hey, see y'all.